Johnny collected a pile of bearing rollers from an old bearing and brought them to me. Then he challenged me. Could I turn them into something truly amazing? Of course, I accepted. It looked like he had taken apart an old bearing and saved only the hardened steel rollers. I fired up my charcoal forge and heated the rollers until they were glowing red. Then I began forging each one by hand with my hammer, flattening them and giving them shape. After forging several of them, I moved to the belt grinder and made every piece perfectly flat and exactly the same size. Next, I welded them together, leaving about a 2mm gap between each plate. Then I built a steel container and placed the welded stack inside. I filled every empty space with steel powder and added a little borax to drive the oxygen out during heating. After that, I sealed the container shut. I heated it in the forge until it was red hot and carefully began forging it. I hammered every side evenly until I knew the material inside had fused into one solid billet. Then I let the container cool, cut off both ends with an angle grinder, and peeled away the soft outer shell. Only the solid steel core remained. Now it was time to forge the actual blade. I heated the billet again, drew it out longer, and forged it down to about 5mm thick. Then I forged the tip and shaped the tang. This part alone took the entire day and was incredibly exhausting. By the end of the day, this was the rough blade I had created. The following morning, I moved to the belt grinder. First, I leveled both sides and removed every hammer mark. Then I refined the profile until the final blade shape became clearly visible. Some tight areas couldn't be reached with the grinder, so I finished those details by hand using a file. Next came the most important stage: grinding the bevels. The bevels determined both the cutting performance and the beauty of the finished knife. Once they were complete, I sanded the blade to 150 grit. Then I fired up the forge once again, heated the blade to approximately 850 degrees Celsius, and quickly quenched it in oil. Now the steel was extremely hard and durable. After that, I sanded it again, starting at 150 grit and finishing at 2000 grit. Once the sanding was complete, I placed the blade into ferric chloride for several minutes. Just look at that pattern. This was exactly the effect I was hoping for. Now it was time to build the handle. First, I made a brass bolster. I marked the dimensions, drilled the brass plate, cleaned the opening with a file, and shaped it on the belt grinder. Then I made matching brass spacers with a thin orange Textilite liner between them. For the handle, I chose a solid block of walnut. I cut it to size, marked the drilling points, drilled the hole, and assembled everything using epoxy. The bolster, spacers, and handle were all glued together into one solid piece. The next day, after the epoxy had fully cured, I shaped the handle on the belt grinder. I refined the contours, thinned the wood, and then hand sanded it to 320 grit. Finally, I applied a protective wood oil to keep the handle safe from moisture and sharpened the blade to a razor edge. And this is the final result. If you think I won this challenge, don't forget to subscribe to the channel.